my kids from me and act like that? You and that. Shut the up. I'm trying to think over here.
From the depths of humanity's darkest recesses emerge those who commit acts so unimaginable they defy comprehension. These killers, standing in the courtroom, offered no semblance of remorse for their unspeakable crimes. Their trials became shocking spectacles that left the world aghast, forever etching their names into the annals of infamy. Joanna Dennehy's. Joanna Dennehy's case stands out as a rare instance of a female serial killer in the history of the United Kingdom. In March 2013, she committed a series of brutal murders in Peterborough, England, resulting in the deaths of 3 men. Unlike many criminal cases, Dennehy swiftly pled guilty upon her arrest, sparing the justice system a lengthy trial. However, her behavior during her time in court left a lasting impression. As Dennehy stood in the dock awaiting the judge's summation, her demeanor displayed a complete lack of remorse. Witnesses observed her smirking and laughing in the face of her heinous crimes, and she even audaciously shouted the word "bitches" at one point. Such callous behavior likely garnered her no sympathy from those present, and her apparent shock and disbelief upon receiving a life sentence from the judge were in stark contrast to her earlier demeanor. Dennehy's actions and attitude in court painted a chilling picture of her character, highlighting her lack of empathy and disregard for the gravity of her crimes. Her behavior demonstrated a complete detachment from the suffering she had inflicted upon her victims and their families. Understandably, her conduct would have left a lasting impression on those involved in the case, including the judge who presided over the sentencing. Given the rarity of female serial killers and the severity of Dennehy's crimes, it is unsurprising that she received a life sentence. Such a sentence reflects the heinous nature of her acts and ensures that she will be deprived of her freedom for the rest of her life. Dennehy's case serves as a reminder that gender does not exempt individuals from committing grave crimes, and it underscores the importance of justice being served regardless of the perpetrator's gender. Lawrence Bittaker. Lawrence Bittaker, along with his accomplice Roy Norris, committed a series of chilling murders in the Los Angeles area during the late 1970s. Their victims, all young women, endured unspeakable horrors at the hands of the duo.
Mr. Norris was interested in having the sounds of domination or fear. I wanted some sounds of...
Bittaker and Norris subjected their victims to rape, torture, and abuse, often utilizing tools such as pliers from Bittaker's sinister toolkit before ultimately ending their lives. The notorious pair, infamously known as the Toolbox Killers, were eventually apprehended and brought to justice. Bittaker, in particular, faced a trial that presented overwhelming evidence of their heinous acts. However, during the proceedings, Bittaker exhibited a disturbing demeanor characterized by joviality and defiance. Reports indicated that he would laugh at times, displaying a complete lack of remorse or empathy for the suffering he had inflicted upon his victims. This callous and remorseless behavior is a chilling reflection of the true nature of Bittaker. It showcases a twisted individual who seemed to derive pleasure from the pain and terror he caused. The nickname Plier, which he reportedly included when signing his letters, further illustrates his sadistic mindset and his willingness to revel in the atrocities he committed. Bittaker's presence in court, marked by his defiance and apparent enjoyment of the proceedings, must have been deeply distressing for the families of his victims and all those involved in the case. Such behavior further emphasized the depravity of his crimes and the absence of any semblance of humanity within him. H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes, one of America's most infamous serial killers, instilled terror in the Chicago area during the 1890s. He confessed to committing 27 murders, although the actual number may never be known. Many of his victims were migrant workers who had come to Chicago for the 1893 World's Fair, whom Holmes lured into his mansion under the guise of offering lodging, but instead turned into a nightmarish murder castle. Holmes's mansion was far from a typical bed and breakfast. It contained a labyrinthine layout with secret passages and rooms specifically designed for his sinister purposes. Within the mansion, he had constructed a series of airtight chambers where he could gas or suffocate his unsuspecting guests. He also implemented chute disposal systems to conveniently dispose of their bodies. The murder castle became Holmes's streamlined operation, horrifyingly combining hospitality and homicide. After Holmes was finally captured, he faced his fate at the gallows. Even at this pivotal moment, he showed no remorse for the lives he had taken. Instead, he took the opportunity to offer a chilling explanation for his actions, stating, "Yes, I was born with the devil in me. I was born with evil standing as my sponsor beside the bed where I was ushered into the world, and he has been with me since." This statement suggests that Holmes saw himself as inherently evil, his crimes being a product of his dark nature rather than any external influences. William MacDonald. William MacDonald, also known as the Sydney Mutilator, terrorized Australia in the early 1960s by targeting and murdering gay men in a series of gruesome killings. His modus operandi involved stabbing his victims to death before mutilating their genitals. The sadistic nature of his crimes and his apparent enjoyment of reliving them became a media sensation during his arrest and subsequent trial. During the trial, MacDonald took perverse pleasure in providing detailed descriptions of his horrific acts, reveling in the attention and notoriety they brought him. His graphic and vivid accounts were so disturbing that some jurors reportedly fainted and had to leave the courtroom. These shocking displays further demonstrated his complete lack of remorse and the depths of his psychopathy. The judge presiding over MacDonald's trial recognized the dangerous nature of the unrepentant killer. Understanding that MacDonald was likely to offend again, the judge sentenced him to life imprisonment. This decision reflected the judge's acknowledgement that MacDonald's depravity and lack of empathy made him a perpetual threat to society. Albert Fish. Albert Fish, infamously known as the Grey Man, carried out a series of heinous crimes in New York State between 1924 and 1934. While he was ultimately convicted of 3 murders, it is believed that he may have been responsible for as many as 10 killings during that period. Fish's deviant sexual preferences and paraphilias set him apart from typical criminals. His fetishes included inserting kerosene-soaked wool into his anus and setting it on fire, as well as impaling needles into his abdomen. Additionally, he developed an appetite for raw meat, which later extended to human flesh. In 1928, Fish committed one of his most notorious acts when he abducted, murdered, dismembered, and consumed 10-year-old Grace Budd. He boasted about stripping Grace naked and choking her to death before dismembering her body and cooking and eating the flesh. The depravity and cruelty exhibited by Fish serve as a haunting reminder of the need for justice, protection, and vigilance against those who commit such heinous acts. Well, that's all for today's video. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel for more thought-provoking content. Don't forget to leave your comments and suggestions down below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.